Let's go to another great matchup that is at UFC 311, not this week, but next weekend in Los Angeles. Unfortunately, I won't be here, but Moicano versus Dariush. Dude, I've been watching a lot of interviews of Money Moicano. He is the man. He's so funny. He's very intelligent, talks a lot about finances as well, cryptocurrency and other investments, the strength of the dollar. He's very big into economics. But anyways, he's talking about, he's fighting a very tough opponent in Beneil Dariush. Amazing opponent, who was on the verge of a title shot and lost, I believe, to what's his name? I think he was on the verge. He lost to Charles Oliveira, if I remember correctly. He was right up there, otherwise, to get a title shot. And a lot of people were picking him to win that fight. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I'm remembering that right. Now he's had a couple losses, but he's going against Moicano, and Moicano is hot. I think on a 5 or 6 fight win streak, just crushing lately. And Moicano is, I also want to say 34 or 35, but he's just got this new mindset, and it just says every time, I cannot lose. I will not allow myself to lose. I must win, making this final amazing title run. And what Beneil said in a recent interview is that what he sees as the biggest difference in Moicano's game is his strategy. He's fighting intelligently. He's creating distinct game plans and executing on those game plans, most notably beating Benoit Saint-Denis last time, where Benoit Saint-Denis was definitely favored to win, and Moicano pulled out in a very impressive victory. Justin, from the build-up, from what you know of these two fighters, what are you expecting out of this fight?
I love this fight, man. I'm a huge Beneil fan. When I fought in California, he was in the back when I was warming up, and him and I were chopping it up, because we kind of connected at the UFC PI a couple times. And, dude, the guy, he's I can't root against this guy. And I know Moicano is a favorite. I bet he's going to be the favorite in this fight. He's smoking hot coming in. I love hearing this guy on the mic. He has incredible trash talk. But when you know Beneil like I do, man, nobody would ever. This guy is like one of the most genuine family men you could ever meet, man. And he's so nice and he's so humble. And, I'm in my warm-up room and I saw him walk in. I didn't want to say anything to him in case, I didn't want to bother him. I was warming up anyways. And he went out of his way to come over and say what's up to me and see how I was doing. He knew I had neck surgery because they talked about it at the UFC PI. And I just thought that was really cool, man. So I had a really good I feel like I have a really good connection with Beneil Dariush. He's just such a humble, hardworking, tough guy. And Moicano, though, on the other hand, dude, I'm a big fan of both of these guys. Obviously, one's personal, one's more theatrical because I like the way he talks on the mic. And we talk about that, being a fan of fighters more of how they are on the mic. I'm more of a fan of Beneil because of how tough he is and how he is outside of the cage. And I'm a huge fan of Moicano because of how he is on the mic. I think this fight has fireworks. Unfortunately, I feel Beneil, he's kind of on his decline, and Moicano on his way up right now. He's on, you said, a 5 or 6 fight win streak. That's incredible to put together in the UFC. This is a perfect matchup for him. Again, Beneil just, he was 1 fight away from a title fight, and, he just kind of came up short, and trying to get that motivation back at his age, I think is going to be really tough, and I see Money Moicano winning this fight all day.
Now, it's a quick correction. Is actually a 4-fight win streak. I just double checked. But yeah, just to say, to add on or pile on to what you're saying about Beneil Dariush, also a fighter that I'm a big fan of. I also like the way he carries himself. He's one of those guys that's super authentic, very real, down to earth, good guy through and through. Actually, he had one of the funniest call outs after one of his victories. I can't remember who he beat, but people were like crapping on it and said that it was stupid. I thought it was hilarious. I never heard anything like it. Do you remember this? He called out Elon Musk because he was trying to get it. He had bought a Tesla and he was waited like 5 months.
Had waited. Yeah.
Everybody's like, he blew the call out. I'm like, dude, that was hilarious. Nobody's ever done that. And he got his car shipped to him within like the next couple weeks. Like Elon Musk heard about it and got him his car. I thought that was hilarious. So yeah, I'm a big fan of both of these guys. And you're the expert on this. I'm just making kind of a pure conjecture, but I would lean towards Moicano. The odds are actually pretty close. It's -200. So it's a pretty close odds in my opinion. Not too crazy. Another site had it at -165 for Moicano. So not that too far off, but Yeah, the only reason why I would probably lean towards Moicano is, again, because of the streak and because of the momentum. And it seems like his mindset is just rock solid. He is so determined to win. Even in his last victory, he had some like crazy shoulder injury. You could see his bones sticking out. It was insane, but he fought through it. So I think there's something to that mental strength that Moicano is showing lately. But anyways, it's going to be a great fight. UFC 311. Holy smokes.
Let me interject for you for 1
Go
second.
for it.
If you guys haven't seen Beneil Dariush fight before, do yourself a favor and watch Beneil Dariush versus Drakkar Klaus. It is an incredible fight. Drakkar is one of the toughest guys I've ever met. You know, me and him, we wrestled against each other in the state finals. He's from Michigan as well. He's an incredible fighter. Beneil, man, it's just a great fight. But hey, you want to hear something funny, kind of off subject, or talking about what you're talking about? You talk about the momentum, you know, in fighting. He's on a 4-fight win streak. He has all this momentum. Did you know that a lot, if not most, I shouldn't say most, but I know a lot of professional gamblers say that they don't think momentum in sports is a real thing.
Tell me more.
So whatever's like the probability is always the same. As this is how Aaron explains it, the probability is always the same. Whether they've scored 2 touchdowns in a row, because what if they scored when we talk about football, when we talk about momentum, I think we should do a show, bring Aaron on, and I want to hear the professional side of momentum is not a real thing. I disagree wholeheartedly as a professional athlete. I think when you're on a big streak, 5-fight, 6-fight win streak, that you feel confident and you perform better than compared when you're losing. But I've heard at least 3 or 4 professional gamblers, like that's all they do, is they said they do not believe in momentum.
So if you look at it from a strict mathematical perspective, okay, we have 2 different types of probability. You have independent probability and dependent probability. Independent probability comes into play really well for something like roulette, right? Even if you see that it has hit black like 7 of the last times, it's not like, oh, we're more likely to hit red. That the previous outcomes don't affect the subsequent outcomes. So we call that independent probability. It's irrelevant. The reason why I would now, again, if maybe you look,
I disagree with him. I think momentum is huge in sports, all sports.
And again, and just to contrast it with this, right? Why I would call this dependent probability, or why? But again, maybe the numbers show something different. I have to really look at it from a mathematical perspective. But like, dependent probability means the previous outcome influences the subsequent outcome in some way. The easiest example is when you're drawing out of a deck of cards, right? And if you draw 1 heart and you don't put it back, your odds of drawing a heart the next time have diminished because now there's 1 less heart. The way we would make an analogy in this sport is, again, if it raises your confidence levels and your mental state and whatever, that should theoretically impact the odds. So I would be surprised. And you've also said from a fighter perspective that it does help you tremendously and you're more likely to win when you're on a streak. So I'd want to know what the numbers are behind that claim, because it doesn't make sense to me, but I could be wrong. I haven't dove in and looked at the numbers. So maybe the numbers.
I would love for you guys to have a debate, because I would love to learn on both sides. Because again, I think confidence and momentum are a parallel line. You know, when you're winning, you have momentum. You also have confidence, and I think when you're more confident, you're going to perform better. But again, I'd like to hear Aaron. Again, we got to have Aaron on and have his side to this, because he explains to me. I'll be talking about football like, Lions will be down by 21 points, and next thing you know, they're down by fucking 1 touchdown. I'm like, oh, they got momentum. And then he'll be like, oh, momentum's not a real thing. And it's like, I think it is. But anyways, moving on.
Yeah, I would be, it has to be within context, and we'd have to look at the numbers. Like, it wouldn't even necessarily be a debate. We'd have to look at the numbers in particular. But my initial instinct is that can't be true just because of what we know about flow state. And we've heard numerous athletes talk about this feeling of getting into flow state and it feeling easy. Like Kobe Bryant's talked about it, other basketball players, football players, as well as mixed martial artists. You get into this mindset and where you're just like, everything makes sense and you're kind of flowing. You're not thinking. So I don't know, but that would be a very interesting conversation. I'd love to know numerically why he has that position.